Hello. It is 24 degrees Celsius here, the cold, rainy morning. But guess what? Your daily dose of sunshine is here, Sunrise Daily. Good morning and welcome to the program. I'm Maufe Ogun Yusuf.
Indeed, good morning and welcome. I'm Kayla Megwai to Tuesday. And yes, the conversation around security will continue. We've been talking about the return of our children from Oriri and the dynamics of it. And I think that's what happens with cases like this, is that the more we look at the situation, the more dynamics and areas come out. We were talking off camera just a few seconds ago about what it's like to be in the bush, and listening to the experiences of those who had to deal with this, the teachers who had to watch these children be beaten because they were making noise. And we said when you kidnapped children, what did you think was going to happen? Children cry. That's what they do when they're uncomfortable. But when they're crying, they can give away locations and things like that. So the dynamics of that experience and how we can ensure that this doesn't happen. The conversation around safe schools has come up again. And we don't know, there's an investigation apparently going on into the Safe School Initiative from the National Assembly because money was given for safe schools. A lot of money. Billions were given for safe schooling. So what happened to that money? Who took our money? And how can we get it back? And then moving on, how can we ensure that the ease of kidnapping doesn't continue in our schools across the country?
Well, I think it's important to state that, this conversation around Oriri will continue for a while because we do know that this is not the first school abduction, but this is one where we can say that public pressure was kept up, eyes was on the ball. The security agencies lived up to expectation when they were able to safely get these people back, get these children and their teachers back. And I think that, for days we will continue to live within their experiences, listening to their ordeal. We want to know what exactly transpired. How did you survive 57 days in the den of wicked kidnappers? You heard the teacher, the principal there, saying that they were under the rain and in the sun, literally, with children, with poor nutrition. How did they get through all of that? And I think it's important that as a country, we feel what they felt. We experience, even though we cannot be in the bushes with them, because mentally, I'm sure people will just think about it once in a while. Churches offered, mosques offered prayers up for their safety, for their safe return. But now that they're back, it's important to also relieve. I know that this is going to be very traumatic for them, but I imagine that, we all want some sort of closure, on this particular matter. What was it like in that forest? And it's a good thing that, they are obliging us. We're listening to them. We're allowing ourselves feel, Kayla, what they went through their own testimonies. It's interesting. One of the children's name was Testimony.
Oh,
and I imagine just how that child will continue to say that my name followed me.
Yes.
I always have a testimony to tell. I survived 57 days in the hands of brutal kidnappers.
That's a core memory.
Yes,
that's a core memory
for children. So in many ways, I mean, I personally as an uncle, I have let myself feel this. And I imagine that a lot of Nigerians will want to hear what exactly transpired. We're also very interested. I mean, as Governor Makinde has now called for an investigation. He's asking international human rights agencies to come and investigate what transpired here in Nigeria under these circumstances, while, we will wait to hear the reactions on that particular call. Certainly, we know that the security agencies that have now arrested, we understand, about eight people in this particular saga. We want to see those people. We want to see their faces. And we want to believe that the full weight, whatever weight our laws hold, that the full brunt of it will be brought to bear on those who committed this sort of atrocity. And let us not forget, we still have children in captivity.
Oh, yes, we do.
Children were taken from Askira in Borno State, and we're still waiting for their safe return. So we need to send a signal. Clearly, these people are getting, they're watching what is happening somehow. They have informants. We need to send a signal to them that there is a change in trajectory. This era where people pick up children and think that they are okay, they are good collateral for negotiations. That era needs to come to an end. And Kayla, you made the very important point about Safe Schools Initiative. It's important to note that the Safe Schools Initiative started under the administration of President Goodluck Jonathan. It was launched, I remember then, by the coordinating minister of the economy, Madam Okonjo-Iweala, who is now at the World Trade Organization. It was relaunched again during the Buhari administration.
Yes.
What became of the plan?
And the money,
Did we give monies with the schools that were given money? Did they build their fences? You know, were some schools left out? We said that the money wasn't enough. What exactly became of it? These are the kinds of things that we wish we want the National Assembly to be able to investigate. It's not enough for us to come on television, do the fanfare, we cover all of these things, and zilch. We hear zilch. Children are kidnapped in Niger, and over again, children are kidnapped. This has to stop.
You know, Mark, but can I say, I think this is going to be different. I do believe that our country is different. I don't think this is going to be one of those situations where we talk about it and nothing is done about it. We will put up the pressure. This time, we will keep the pressure mounted, especially with the Safe Schools Initiative, with subnationals and the responsibility that they have for security, with the state police that the president has pushed for, and we're going to see come to fruition. Our country has to change, and we have to take our country back. It is quite disappointing, though, because our conversation this morning, it feels like when there's one step forward, then there are several steps backward, because there were attacks in Riom, attacks as well in Benue, and we'll be looking at those in a short while. But you see, the message for our political class, for perpetrators of violence, for enemies of our country, we will not lose our country. We will not allow it to go. We have to continue the pressure, and I'm calling on everybody has to be a part of this. Whatever it is, wherever the ball has dropped, we have to find who's responsible and show that justice is being served, because our schools cannot be a farm for kidnappers. Whenever they need money to buy weapons, they come and carry our children in our schools. It's not going to happen. We will not allow it to happen. So whatever it is that has to be done, this is the time to get it done. And you know, Mark, President Tinubu has an opportunity here. I see opportunities in everything. This is an opportunity for the Tinubu administration to write its name in gold. Be the one that was able to stop this heinous crime in its tracks. It's a very important time in Nigeria's history, and one that I think everyone who's involved, security agencies, the presidency, governors, everyone, this is an opportunity for us to save our country, Mark.
Indeed, Kayla, you know, Nigerians really want to get their hopes up, but you know, sometimes when you look at the politics, it's hard to be optimistic. But maybe this time around, politicians can keep our hopes up, especially riding on the high that this rescue, this dramatic rescue of the Orire 42 has now brought to us. Let us see how that reflects on everything else that we do concerning security. Let us see how that also affects the investigations that are currently going on even within the presidency itself. We'll be delving more into that when we come back from this break. But this is the testimony of those who went through the ordeal, the horrifying ordeal of being in kidnappers' dens for 57 days. Listen to them.
This is what a victory march looks like. Though frail, emaciated, and visibly shaken, the survivors are lights from the birth, mustering a sense of purpose they barely possess. The Orire 44 have finally regained their freedom. After 56 days of unimaginable hardship and isolation, they are back on safe ground. Freedom came at a staggering cost. Of the 46 taken, teachers Michael Oyedoku and Deacon John Olaleye paid the ultimate sacrifice. 5 security agents, Amotekun officers, local vigilantes, and brave hunters also perished in the struggle.
The executive governor for your state.
In his address, Governor Makinde extended profound gratitude to every individual who joined the chorus, calling for these lives to be saved, while specifically acknowledging President Tinubu's pivotal support.
On behalf of the government and the people of your state, say thank you
to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for his support in seeing this through. Also, all the leadership of these security agencies in Nigeria. I'm still short of words because this has happened all over the country with its challenges. But when it came to Oyo State, it was totally different.
The General Officer commanding 2 Division, Major General Chinedu Nebefe, commended the exceptional bravery displayed by all participating personnel, extending a salute from the tactical ground teams to those in the air and those at sea to their commanding officers.
So the operation is a complex one. It lasted for more than a month, and it focused mainly on identifying the terrorist kingpins that masterminded the crime. We focus on also dismantling their network and cutting off their logistics. And the informers within the Olo National Park and other parts of the country. At the last phase of the operation that we had was blocking their major logistic hub. And I'm sure I'll mention the town called Asham to block the place and finally put pressure on them. It was now they willing to release unconditionally. But we are not giving up on them. We say, no, it's not about releasing. We now see to the end of the terrorists operating in that particular region. And of course, indeed, the whole part of the country. And to the glory of God, we have them here.
The GOC issued a stern directive noting that an urgent review of local hunter and vigilante activities is required as investigations reveal some elements were compromised during the crisis.
Maybe at a good time we'll sit down with the Excellency and the Ramon, we'll work out this issue of vigilantes and of course, even within our system, we have the bad ones among them. So we have to really look at some of those local vigilantes and hunters because from all we see, there was a lot of collaboration from some of them.
In an emotional address that belied her physical frailty, Mrs. Rachel Alamu, the school principal forced to act as the terrorist public conduit, expressed profound gratitude for their release while candidly confirming the deep psychological scars left behind.
When we started the first week, we were bringing biscuits for them, maybe to make them comfortable. But along the line, that stopped. Then we had to move from one point to another. And that was a major problem we had. When the place is discovered, we have to move. And that starts around 7, 8 in the night. Sometimes we walk 3, 4 hours. That is most of the bruises you see on our body.
Governor Makinde has requested a 48-hour window to finalize medical and psychological assessments for the survivors. He assured families that despite this brief observation period, they would have controlled access to their loved ones. Bukola Oriowo, Channel Television News.
Yes, we are changing gears now from the southwest to the north-central region of the country, particularly in Benue State, where we understand that an attack took place on Akpachi village and Otupo Nobi community in Otupo local government area. We understand that herdsmen came in at about 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. on Sunday morning, while residents were asleep, killing scores of people, and many others sustained varying degrees of injuries. I imagine that by now we will have a proper count of those lost in that attack. As Kayla did highlight earlier, it does seem that sometimes it's one step forward and many steps backward. But we're here now to discuss, because this is not the first attack on Otukpo. We also know this is not the first attack in Benue State. As a matter of fact, of the time when it was consistently in the news, and President Bola Tinubu had to visit, particularly after very deadly attacks which took over the lives of over 200 people in one night, in one fell swoop. So clearly, peace has not completely returned to Benue when we're seeing attacks like this. We have a guest in our studios to help discuss this particular issue. Mr. Samuel Agua is the convener of Benue Open Governance Society and also the former assistant liaison officer to the UNHCR and former Benue State coordinator, NEPAD. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily this morning.
My pleasure to be here, thank you. And my condolences to Benue people, particularly Otukpo people, for the sad incident a few days ago.
It is very mind-boggling, really, because I mean, people had imagined that after the attacks that we had seen, I'm trying to remember the name of the community now where this very deadly attacks occurred. No, not the one that just happened now, the one where 200 people had lost their lives.
There have been so many, not too long.
Oh, you're talking of Yelwata?
Yelwata, thank you.
Okay,
Yes, it was Yelwata. So after the attacks in Yelwata, we had thought that, you know, that there would have been lasting measures put in place. First responders, for instance, put in place in such a way that, and also early warning systems put in place to avoid incidences like this where residents cannot sleep in peace. What exactly do you think went wrong, given what you know of the terrain in Benue?
Well, it's a big mix. It depends on how you want to place the dosages. Everything counts or matters, whether you're talking about early warning systems in place, whether you're talking about the headsmen or the headers, where you're talking about the fact that there's even some element of community being complicit, or individuals in community. Whatever you bring to the table counts. It depends on how you break it down. You see, you guys made a statement about one step. When we think we are progressing, it's as if we are going back. And it's quite sad because relatively, we've gained lots of mileage in Benue in the past 3 years or so. It's not as bad as it used to be. Then sometimes you sit down and you come and witness what is odd again. This particular Otukpo, that something happened and we are talking about, if you recall, about 2 years ago, it has been a red flag. There's been killing in Asa, in some other communities around Otukpo, even acts of kidnapping and all that. But I think something is very key here and critical. There seems to be a community, government, security agencies, a bit of a disconnect. I am here talking as somebody who works in communities as a farmer, who professionally also has worked with the UNHCR. And I can tell you that when crises happen, the tendency is sometimes to politicize this crisis. I will explain. Then begin to see how we can work together with government. There's a tendency to boo the government, to boo the security agencies, to undermine their efforts. Because remember, most of the efforts put into even avert these things happening, we may not know, because we're not in a position to know. We can only know when we see a physical policeman or military guy holding a gun and maybe trying to chase at some bandits or some terrorists or so. So it's a whole lot of mix, but I think principally, very unfortunate that these things have happened. We are witnessing a growth that we need to leverage on by communities sitting back and being sincere to themselves. I want to state clearly that the responsibility to protect you and me is government. But, communities must sit back and have a frank conversation. I am not saying communities cause this crisis, but I am saying there are gaps. There's some bit of, it's a bit porous, mostly when you discover that these trends repeat sometimes, these trends happen and the same messaging, the same conversations goes on. I think, one, we need to sit back and relook at how best as communities we can be frank to ourselves, number one. Number two, we need to, as a matter of urgency, begin to identify publicly and pick out these elements, known and unknown. I use the word unknown because known is from the context of the community chaps that live amongst us, that our family members, that our in-laws, that our whatever. Unknown from, also from the point of view that if we think some guys come from somewhere to attack, why can't at community levels, working with the agencies of government, we collaborate to try to see who lives in those communities, how do they come to attack? So in that way, ourselves and government can sit frankly, and maybe we may reduce these incidences like they got reduced, but again, there's something came up again.
And I hear more than what you're saying, because the thread when you talked about the elements, when we asked you what exactly could have been responsible, you listed a mix. One of the things I heard very clearly is the complicity of communities. The communities complicit, that was how you framed it.
Whichever way you put it.
And that is very significant, because I do remember that in the Yelwata attacks, that was something that stood out, that they had informants who were community members, people who had lived within the community with them for years. And there were questions as to why would those kinds of people turn on the very same community that had raised them? Why did they think it was okay for them to give away? Because these people already were not living safely. They already had an idea that such an attack could be upon them. And so we're not sleeping in the villages. They were sleeping in shops along the road, hoping that would give them some element of safety and that they would be closer to maybe the call of security agencies were they to come and intervene whatever time of the night. But the attackers knew specifically where to find them. That was why we saw the amount of bloodshed that we saw in the Yelwata attack. In this particular one, I'm wondering, how much do we know about communities? If communities become cynical, some people will say maybe they have developed a right to be given what they have seen happen in other communities. But it's unclear also if this is also a lack of trust between themselves and security agencies. Do you see that gap there? And if you do, how do you think it can be rebuilt?
If you recall my opening statements, I identified the gap. You see, when there is mutual, is it distrust or mistrust? I don't know which one is correct. When mutually, I don't trust you, you don't trust me. Because for me, as a community person in Benue, I want to sleep safely. I don't want to hear that I'm attacked. So when I'm attacked, the tendency is for me to blame the DPO, blame the vigilante guard, blame the military or the joint task forces because they couldn't protect me. And it's trending. Yeah, it's correct. It's correct. We should do that. But the issue now is, if three of us in this studio, I choose to be an odd guy, to do something wrong to you, and I succeed because I'm close to you, and then you come to blame the channels, security people, for not doing enough to stop that. Listen, I am not seated here heaping blame on communities, but I'm saying that disconnect, whether it's done in ignorance or it's done out of conviction, because whichever side is justifiable. People have taken reports to the security agencies, nothing has happened. So fine, there's a tendency to build that thick skin that, hey, look, let's leave this thing, even if we go there, they will not give us what we want. There is also the issue of the security agencies also even getting at some security elements, and even some community elements and identifying them. And sometimes the very communities also could get up to try to see how matters are resolved.
Yes.
So there is something here we need to, because I'm trying to move away from politicization, from booing. What we are facing is almost like it's getting genetic. The industry of banditry, terrorism, and all that has been built over time. We want an event to happen and let this thing end. I'm appealing to citizens. we must sit back, because if this thing is not ending, and we keep every day singing security, government is supposed to protect, which is correct, which is constitutional, which is all that, we may be belittling a matter, because whatsoever is not ending, whatsoever is not coming to conclusion, you look inward. This may be a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow, but I'm talking as a local farmer. I would have been on my farm if I didn't come to Abuja on your invitation here. So the issue is, let's begin to see how we can build that trust. Essentially, that everybody sit, community fees, government, you have failed because they killed my members. And of course, yes, government has failed. And then you, community, right within you, people are hiding and causing trouble. I'm being very blunt because I farm, and I can tell you a lot of miscreant activities that go around in communities. They may not build necessarily to kill somebody or kill someone, but when you see the tendencies, when you see the way the young people's attitudes are, you will know that they can easily fit into this herdsman definition. Let me redefine herdsman.
No, hold on a second. Hold on.
I have not landed.
No, hold on a second.
You're not fair. Let me land.
No, hold on a second, because we are running out of time.
Oh,
yes.
You are in charge.
Yes. So let's be clear. All right? Let's be straightforward here. Since you said you're a very straightforward person.
I am.
Good. When you say complicity in community, what exactly do you mean? Because you mentioned just one right now. You have miscreants hiding in between you. What exactly are you accusing these communities of being complicit of?
Let me start from the big to the down. In most traditional communities today, traditional leadership have issues.
Okay.
There is some contention. There is some tussle, if you like. I may not be able to pick specifically, because even if I am, I will be afraid, so that I'm not taking on why I pick A and I didn't pick B. Now, within these traditional systems, these gatekeepers of communities, there also exists mistrust on account of either some people feel those that are there got in wrongly. It's wrong leadership. I'm even talking about traditional rulers.
Okay, so
or traditional
rulers in communities.
In communities, that's also one. Number two, even the youth associations, there are tussles. Remember, these are the first layers people run to or people have confidence. Even in vigilante associations.
So leadership crisis with traditional rulers, vigilante groups,
you
and
can
youth
go
groups.
on and on.
Okay.
I want these issues relooked at.
Okay.
And it's only communities that can sit down and trust the government to relook at these issues. It's not by standing apart. And every time I am killed, or I'm attacked, or I'm sent to an IDP camp, the next thing is to boo that Tinubu has failed.
Okay.
This person has failed.
So the leadership tussles are causing the people in the communities to do what exactly?
No, you see, you come to a community that is not united.
Okay.
How do you want me to explain that further? It's easy for us to see that government is not doing enough.
The terrorists,
which government should?
The bandits come in and then they recruit these people? I need to understand.
No, listen. I don't understand. I may not know how recruitment process is done. I am telling you that there are tendencies in community today that are so strong, are so recruitable. Okay. If you want me to say so.
So it makes them
so there's a tendency that if an external person or even an internal person that has decided to compromise, decides to cause trouble, it will be very difficult for the very genuine community to even respond to it. Talk less of security agencies that will come in.
Okay.
I'm trying to say that most of the mess we are having around now resolving these issues is that internally there are these people, there are these community elements that sometimes because of money or because of, call it the devil or whatever you want to call it, choose now to toe the path of making it easy for some terrorists to come into channels and wreck down channels.
Into their community.
That is just what I'm saying. Because the citizens don't want this conversation. And I'm talking to you as
let's see the conversation, because there is. You see, when we're talking about communities, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu takes it very seriously. So much so that he has a special advisor, senior special assistant, I think, and SSA, on community issues For each geopolitical zone.
I'm aware of that.
There's one for your zone. It's a
Yes,
lady.
and I know her.
Okay.
Abiodun. I know Dr. Abiodun.
Yes. So Dr. Abiodun, and interestingly, I've spoken to her about this before. So let's talk about the conversations that you've had when she comes to the communities, because she has mentioned what you talked about just now.
Yeah.
So when she comes to the communities, what happens? What kind of resolutions do you reach when you discuss with her on the issues in the communities?
You jumped a bit, but it's still important. It's not about the SSA to the president, come to communities, broker some conversation, try to make peace. The issues are deeper. I want a system. God, this is what we work. I'm a local guy, so I know what I'm talking. It is the same community people with their same structures, either through the church structures or their whatever women group structures that should sit and tell themselves the truth. Remember, if we know the truth, it will set us free. We are not saying community elements get up and attack communities necessarily. We are saying because of this gap in frank conversation. Let me give you one. Why is it that we know the bad boys in this village, but we don't bring them up? Why is it that we know this guy didn't do anything, didn't even plow a ridge of soybean, but came back with 2 bikes into this community? We are happy, we keep him, we are good. But then an attack comes, and the tendency is not to think this same dude that is my brother, that is my friend, that is my in-law, could also have connived. The community is shifting a responsibility using constitution, which is correct though, the government is to protect you.
Yeah.
So it's the conversation I'm talking about. Dr. Abiodun or the SSAs or the president trying to come in could also be good. But that's not the first starting point, because one, you come in, let's look at the stakeholders. You know that the stakeholders in most of the meetings that are convened are enemies. But by standard of UN or whatever, the way the procedure is laid, it will be such that when you come, do stakeholder mapping, meet A, B, C, D. There are some stakeholders that don't need to be met all together in a room. There's a whole lot of issues. That's why I'm pushing it back to communities working with their local authorities.
She would argue that that's the only way to broker peace, is to bring warring factions together.
No, bringing warring factions together, if we are 10, together means 2 could be spoken out differently. 3 could. Later 10 could still come. I also have a point. I have not denounced bringing people together. I am saying you may end up bringing people together, get the paparazzi, get the optics right. I am pushing it more to the very communities themselves. Let them start talking the truth.
Within the
There's so much they know, but let me tell you, because security too has failed communities in terms of open communication. That is why, like we in Benue sit today and are clapping and wishing that we should have a state police that may give people more confidence to relate with that institution and make complaints also. Because there are also cases of community elements going to the security agencies turning back to even expose the very people and that. So it's a whole mix. I just don't want, I want the communities to own this peace process, take responsibility over it. Of course, external parties can facilitate, like you say, the SSA is doing, even though I know that is not the focus
for many years.
For you particularly, yeah.
For many years, we have heard about farmer-herders clashes, and oftentimes the crisis within the North Central region is usually attributed to this farmer-herders crisis. Even though at some point, you know, the conversation shifted to say, look, this is not farmer-herders crisis. This is an attempt to take over our land. Depending on who you speak to, some people will say, no, this is an attempt to kill all of us. It's a genocide.
Some say genocide.
Some say, look, it's an attempt to get rid of all the Fulanis in the North Central region. As I said, you know, the conversation is painted according to the side that you speak to. As we speak right now, what exactly, from your own experience, what would you say is still the issue? Is it still this heritage? Because in this particular instance, we understand that there's been a killing of the Benue State chapter, the chairman of the Benue State chapter of the Mieti Allah Cattle Breeders Association, I think his name is Ardo Risku Mohammed.
I know him personally.
You know him personally?
Yeah, we meet at meetings, Peace Commission meetings. I know him personally.
So we understand now that he's dead.
He is.
And as a result of that, communities are afraid. Do you think that this latest crisis is on the back of that? And what exactly is being done to unravel the circumstances around how he was murdered?
For your last question, we push it to the security agencies traditionally to avoid, because I'm on public telly. The other one is very easy to toe conventional reasoning or conventional thinking, normal thinking that, oh, because they killed the Mieti Allah chief in Benue and the Mieti Allah people threatened reprisal, that is what has happened in Otukpo, or maybe it's happening in Benue. Personally, I beg to disagree, because same levels of attacks do happen, despite the fact that significantly in the last 3 years of the administration, there have been some bit of calmness, significantly. You see, it's difficult to preempt a thing. I was trying to give you a definition of herdsmen, because I personally don't believe there is herder farmer crisis in Benue. Most of what you are seeing in Benue significantly past 5 to 7 years. It's not about a cow as eating the yam of a farmer. It's about communities wake up daily. For whatever reason, some guy comes, attacks, kills, burns down, and leaves. And he's not caught. I'll come back to that point. He's not caught. He goes, because he operates around the midnight, the 4 a.m.s, and the matter ends and is closed. You see, the big picture, if we must begin to appreciate these issues, is to have an open communication. Let's not, even though some people may not swallow what I'm saying, let's not detach our community elements from being part of the gangs, of the terrorists that kill us. It's a hard truth, let's face it. But when you have frank conversations, when you go to villages, you really know that they know so much about one kind of thing or the other. Either, not necessarily that they have compromised, but they have eavesdropped. I mean, they've just sniffed some information here and there. I don't want anything thrown away in the course of this investigation. I don't want to limit myself that it is reprisal. Because 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, Otukpo has been badly attacked at this magnitude 4 times in different parts. That is, we are only looking at Otukpo. I'm not talking of Kwandi, I'm not talking of Logo areas and so much. So if you look at traditionally, a typical Benue person or maybe a North Central person has come to have this feeling that, when there's something happen and the Fulanis, the herdsmen or whatever people call, they must do reprisal, they must do reprisal. Who told you it's reprisal? Who told you it is not reprisal? Let's leave that. The fact is that we are attacked. This shouldn't be. Government must rise up. But, I'm repeating, let communities sit down, because on our own, even without a bullet, we can unravel many things that can help. That is the point I want citizens to get.
How would you say that the governor is fair? And I know that you've talked about a bit of excitement with the introduction of state police, even though some people will say that this is maybe where they will be a little skeptical in terms of how it is handled. But how would you say that the governor has fared in terms of handling the challenges in spite of, or handling the security situation in spite of the obvious handicaps?
Well, as a person in the villages and as a humanitarian person that have worked with so many internally displaced persons, I know IDPs that have been displaced 3 times in the last 15 years. Because I was head of office of UNHCR in Benue with some jurisdiction in Nasarawa, and I work with NGOs. If you notice, although I don't like you saying this, because for me, even if one person is killed, it's painful. One person shouldn't be killed like that. There is tremendous progress. The numbers of local governments that were under siege some years ago is no longer like that. And I don't have stats now to read out. And if you notice again, It's not that there's happiness in saying they were killing 10,000 and now they are killing 1,000.
Yeah.
But as I would have said, if you even notice the pattern and trend and the rascality that was going on, it's not as much as we are seeing. There has been heavy deployments of security agencies around the place, and they are actually doing a lot. Because when I go to villages, you see how they avert some kind of thing that a lot of people don't know. Because I remember there's a particular community, I won't call the name, they reported that they are seeing some presence of odd people around. And there was something these guys did. They came and stayed around for like 2 days. Maybe that helped deter something. So there are also preventive measures and all that. But the key issue for me, and I want channels to help me stress this fact, is that communities need to see government as a partner. They don't need to see government as a person they will boo. Because yes, you are booing, that is the responsibility of, I am a father, I'm supposed to pay my children's school fees. For whatever reason I can't pay. There's nothing wrong if my child knows where he can go and do one casual job and top up the money for me to pay school fees, even though it's my responsibility to pay. That is the conversation I want us as citizens and indigenes to move forward. Because we have spoken this issue of government has swayed, government has swayed, government has not protected, government has not protected. Fine. And I have told you why government may have its share of the blame, which exists, because after all, it's supposed to protect you. Government will also find it difficult to protect me, because my sister Maupe is the one that is giving out also information. So it's making it difficult for me to be protected. We need all this together. Let's not pitch one point, dwell on it, and just get it too exaggerated. No point should be. Let's talk again frankly.
All right. I believe that frank conversation will continue on many other platforms. We understand here that Governor Alia has issued a clear and immediate directive to all security agencies operating in the state to liaise with their counterparts in neighboring states and once again swing into action with renewed vigor. We sincerely hope that this will be the situation in Benue.
We hope so.
We have to thank you very much for coming on Sunrise Daily. Mr. Samuel Agua is the convener of Benue Open Governance Society and also a former assistant liaison officer to the UNHCR and former Benue State Coordinator, NEPAD. Thank you once more.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
We're still going to be staying Central region, but this time around we're going to Plateau State in just a moment. Please stay with us.
Tears flow freely as grieving relatives gather outside homes now defined by loss rather than laughter. The scars of the attack are everywhere. Blood stains remain on the floors, bullet holes puncture the door, and empty rooms bear silent testimony to a night of terror that claimed 9 members of the same family, including women, children, and a 3-month-old baby. Among those who lived to tell the story is Kachalom Pam. She says she escaped with her children as gunmen opened fire on the community, but her husband was struck by a bullet and is currently receiving treatment.
They started shooting sporadically here before going to the next house where they killed people. We started running with our children. One fell to the ground and the other found a place to hide. My husband was running behind us when he was shot.
The attack has left more than emotional wounds. Community leaders say repeated attacks have displaced families, disrupted farming activities, and left residents living in fear.
It came to us as a surprise, even though our neighboring communities, some of them have experienced this kind of attack, but we never envisaged it. During the attack, you realize that drones will be flying here and there. You don't know who fly those drones. So we feel that if care is not taken and properly checkmate, you will find out that there are criminal elements that have advanced to, flood this kind of drones.
Not safe. we're not safe. That is why we're calling on government to intensify the security so that they should give us hope to stay in the community because we are not safe.
For many residents, each attack deepens the pain of previous losses. While they continue to mourn, they say what they need most is not sympathy, but lasting security that will allow them to live and farm in peace once again. The pain in this community is impossible to ignore. Survivors are still struggling to come to terms with another deadly attack that has claimed 9 lives with a 3-month-old baby. The urgent question is not who will be next, but when lasting peace will return. From Kum community in Riom local government area of Plateau State, Percy Dabang, Channels Television News.
Welcome. Well, to look at that particularly harrowing matter, harrowing development in Plateau State, General Nicholas Rogers joins us now. Shall I say is or was? Is the committee still standing?
No, the committee has concluded.
Has been dissolved. So he was the chairman of the fact-finding community on incessant killings and destruction of property in Plateau State. And there's also the former commander, Special Task Force, JOS, and Operation Lafia Dole in Maiduguri. General, it's good to have you on our program this morning, even though we'd rather have had you under a different set of circumstances. What we're looking at, this new development, is certainly something I'm sure you're very disturbed about, especially given the fact that your committee has concluded its job and submitted its report. What exactly do you think has not been done from what you have submitted that has now led to this new attack that we've seen?
Thank you very much. I think there are so many things to the issues on the Plateau. First is, let me say that the president did his own work by summoning the governor and elders of the states. They came to the villa and had a chat with Mr. President, and Mr. President gave a direction. However, the problem in Jos is it's a hydra-headed problem, so to say. But first, we need to develop the political will to live together. That's one. 2, to develop actionable intelligence to be able to act and react. Then 3, for the locals to provide their own immediate local security. No matter what happens, you need to defend yourself. Now, the topography of Plateau, it's a difficult topography. In some locations, it takes you 3 hours to get to a village where there's an action. So it becomes a problem to the security agencies. So there's need for us to deploy technology. I've said it severally that we need technology to be able to improve the situation in the Plateau. And the governor has tried his best to set up various committees to look at the security issues. But however, the people have to agree to live together. Yeah. They have to agree to work together. They have to agree to stop the killings. Because one of the problems in Jos is the issue of illegal mining happening all over the places. So you have people of different character coming in from different places to come and mine. And then at times, this conflicts with the locals who owns the land.
Yeah.
You know, there's the issue of land grabbing too. Some people come, displace local communities and take over their land. These are very serious issues that need to be settled.
I mean, this attack in Rio, I know that there was a report. A report was released from the committee that was set up by Governor Mufton. That's the committee that you said you already sent the report.
Yes.
What was the ultimate finding of that report?
Well, like I said, the finding was the issue of general insecurity.
Okay.
You know, the issue of illegal mining.
Okay.
The issue of land grabbing.
Were solutions proffered?
Yeah, solutions were proffered. There was the issue of wrestling, cattle rustling, on both sides. You know, we made recommendations, parity recommendations, And then it's for the state government and of course the federal government to do the needful on those reports.
Has there been any implementation so far to your knowledge of the...
Yes, I know there were some implementations that the governors swung into action immediately after the report was submitted. Some have been done, but it depends on at what level was it done.
What's happening in the Plateau? It's been happening since I was a child. And it keeps happening. We'll see another governor will come, they'll cry, then the international community will get involved, and then we'll see our brothers and sisters being buried. In fact, there are pastors in Plateau State. The only thing they do is burials, because there's always a burial somewhere. There's always a community that has been attacked. Then after that, we do reports, then we all cry about it, and then we wait, and 2 weeks after, it comes back again. It does have a pattern.
Yeah, it does. You know.
Is this a pattern that you think this government is addressing, at least the state governments in Plateau State? Are they addressing this pattern at all? Or are we just watching it happen?
No, you know, I told you that the problem in justice is hydra-headed, kind of. There are religious problems, there are political problems, there are indigenous settlers problems. There are issues of illegal mining, land grabbing, and so forth and so forth. But let me put one fact. The religion contributes less than 5% of the problem in Plateau. Religion contributes less than 5% of the problem in Plateau. So it's not religion, so to say. The major problem has to do with the issue of displacing people from their land, taking over their land, rustling people's cattle, and things like that. Illegal mining, bringing people from, you know, when you want to mine a place, there's mineral resources there. The only way to do is to take people out of that place and then so you can mine effectively.
Can I ask you, how hopeful, because I think right now we'll be looking at solutions. You've spoken about the role of technology, that technology needs to be introduced. Interestingly, in that report, one of the victims spoke about, slightly survivors, spoke about drones flying over, that they were unsure whose drone it was, whether it was that of the bandits or, but he was saying that if it's the bandits, and you know, they are very afraid that these people have now acquired the capabilities, and it will not be any surprise. But what are the solutions? You've spoken about technology. Clearly, we will be competing technologies now, but state police is something that you know, people have been looking to as something that could work. In Plateau, though, there could be fears that this, I mean, given the complexities of the situation in Plateau, do you think it's something that would work, or do you think it's something that has the potential to worsen the situation?
Okay, before I answer that, I'll tell you that one of the problems is, see, the criminal justice system, in Plateau State particularly, is highly faulty.
It's faulty? Very, very faulty.
The criminal justice system, in the sense that if somebody is arrested with a rifle, he can be given either 2 years imprisonment or a fine of maybe 10,000 naira. So the person goes to the court and pays 10,000 naira, walk away. And then
usually judges should have they have the what's that now? I'm looking for the word. They have the jurisdiction or the
prerogative.
Prerogative. Well, yes, but there's the word I'm actually looking for, where they are the ones who exercise the right to say what it is that you should do. Is there any reason why you think the judges would rather let them pay a 10,000 naira fine
if that is what is in the law?
The 2 years.
If that is what is in the state law,
nothing can be done about it.
Nothing can be done. The judges' hands are tied. So we also recommended a review of that law, and also stating that there shouldn't be an option of fine. There shouldn't be an option of fine. You should have 10, 15 years in jail. Straight from. That's one on that.
Discretion. That's the word I was looking for. Discretion.
Well,
the judge has the discretion to decide whether you will spend 2 years in prison or whether you pay a fine.
But if the law says it's a fine of 2 years or a fine of 10,000 naira, it gives you an option. So we recommended that there shouldn't be an option. It will be 10 or 15 years in prison, and I don't think anybody will go to prison for 10 years and come back and still want to engage in all those rubbish things.
So you think that the laws need to be overhauled?
Exactly.
Before state police can come in?
If the law is not overhauled, we're just wasting our time. Because I've seen it as a commander. When you arrest people with weapons, you take them, everything there, will take them to the police will prosecute them, take them to court. The next day, they see the man in the street, even threatening people who are reporting him. So it's an issue that has to be dealt with. Now you talked about the issue of state police. State police, yes, I agree with the project of state police, but it depends on how we implement it. You know, our politicians, some of them can be careless about how to use power. Now, when you give such a person the power to control the instrument of force, then you can know that there's going to be issue. However, if it is properly done and properly documented in the implementation, how it's going to be done, then it can be properly managed. I believe that state police is one of the things that can help also manage this issue of crisis across the country, and also help to employ the locals. You know, thank God the president has set up a committee on this and the state police. So they are working. I'm sure they are going to come up with a reasonable result and recommendations that will help the state governors to run the state police. But I know that initially at the take-off point there are going to be some challenges.
All right, we'll see how those challenges will be resolved given Plateau's history. But we have to thank you very much for coming. Wish we had a little more time with you, General, but we don't. We'll see if we can bring you in another time. Thank you very much for speaking with us.
Thank you.
General Nicholas Rogers. Generals are retired but never tired. He's retired now. He was the chairman of the fact-finding community on the incessant killings and destructions of property in Plateau State. A committee set up by the government of Governor Caleb Mutfwang this year. They've since submitted their report. And also the former commander of Special Task Force in Jos and Operation Lafia Dole in Maiduguri. Thank you once more for coming on the program. Well, we're off the set now, but Channels Television is still very much here, so we ask you to stay tuned throughout the day. Thank you so much for watching this morning. I'm Maokwe Ogun Yusuf.
Business Morning is at the top of the hour. I'm Kayla Magua. Have a great day ahead.